Veterans Day is often a reminder about the stories lost, those who served and sacrificed and never had the opportunity to put their experience down in history. That's all about to change thanks to a new room at Siouxland Freedom Park. KTIV's Katie Koppel takes us there.
This is a dream come true.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but for many, a voice and a life's story is priceless.
As someone who's interviewed dozens of veterans and knowing now that some of those veterans are gone, just having that archive of every veteran's story is so important.
The Bud and Doris Day Interpretive Center at Siouxland Freedom Park is full of stories. But now there's an opportunity for recollection and preservation with the opening of a Place to Remember recording studio.
When we envisioned that someday Freedom Park would have certain features, one of the ones I said we had to have was a studio where veterans could come in and in a self-directed program tell their stories.
Now this recording studio behind me is a small space, but more importantly, it's private. It gives veterans a chance to share their stories, some who have maybe never shared their stories before, and to ensure that generations to come will know the sacrifice that they made.
There isn't a day go by that you see the war. And that's any combat veteran from Bunker Hill and Lexington to present day.
The recording studio is open for any Siouxland veteran to come in and speak. It's a private space with 18 preset questions to help each service member share their unique story. And it's set up in a way that anyone can use it.
The tragedy of many veteran experiences is that we don't preserve them. Once they're gone, they're gone. So this, for us, represents an avenue into a rich vein of information and experience that needs to be shared.
In South Sioux City, Nebraska, Katie Koppel, KTIV News 4.
And if you would like to reserve a time for the recording studio, we'll have that contact information online. You can find it right now on KTIV.